You ready to talk?
Yeah, I'm ready to talk.
What we gonna talk about today? What we gonna talk about today? Talk Talker, Talk Talker. Thank you so much for having
It's
me
like
on.
adding so much work.
I just want to say thank you so much for having me on.
You're so welcome.
Sha-Nel Henderson, the Top Talker.
We are sifting with Sha-Nel.
We are sifting with Sha-Nel.
So to bring us in. So, I'm figuring out what it is that I want to do and how I want to present content. And the best way for me to do it is really to have authentic conversation, but conversation that just really feels natural. So yeah, so we're gonna have a conversation that we're just inviting you in on. So when she said that, because it caught me off guard, right? So I was like, oh, she's giving out blessings for partners and husbands.
Love that.
Yes, I did have my request.
You sure did. And you said now how you came up was because she said she gave the blessing. I said yes, received. Then she gave one to you too. She said partner, and then now if in you stop. Well, not stopping her. If I may put in a request, tall and black. Make sure you make money. And that, again, I just tuned next. I'm like, that's
I said,
business.
a piece of change. I said,
yeah.
a piece of change.
Piece of change. And but again, that's when I started to tune out because I'm like, that's they business.
It was because this is how I was raised.
Mm-hmm.
People get talking about they're gonna pray for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, get to telling them what they can say.
That's good.
What they can pray for.
No, that's really good.
Because you really don't know. I mean, not telling what they can say, but like,
no, yeah.
This is what I'm looking for. Let us be in alignment.
No, that's good. That's good. I do that mentally, but you speak it. You speak it. Like people were like, I'm like in my mind, I'm like, make sure it's a good thing. And I can usually read body language, but it's good to voice what it is. Cause when two come together, I heard that in church today. When two come together, I don't know what scripture was, but when two come together, that's when the presence, something like that. But what I'm getting at is that energy, my energy, it all come together. We make it happen.
You're right. She had good energy. She was an elder, but it's something about, cause they say I'm young.
They say you're young, but you wise. They say you wise.
That's what they be saying.
They do. You got that good wisdom in this area.
So when she said that, I was like, it just sparked so much in my mind. I said, can you be tall, black?
That's good.
You know what I'm saying? A piece of change. And she said, well, y'all can build on that. I said, do you know how old I am?
You got time to build.
It was almost like I was in the 1800s. It's like I said, ma'am, do you know how old I am? Because I've been watching. Okay, so
yeah,
I love me. For somebody who's fighting for black liberatory practices, okay, I do love me some Elizabethan 18th century, okay, television, movies, New War type of thing.
And pull from different.
You know what I'm saying? I'm multifaceted.
Yes, absolutely.
I got multifaceted, and spinster age
is around
25.
Back in those days,
really kind of younger.
It's crazy,
right? Now it's none of y'all business how old I am. You know what I'm saying? I do got a birthday coming up. It's a beautiful aesthetic number too. It's gorgeous. But I say that to say that I wanted her to just kind of see where I was coming from, because that'll also inform her prayer.
And see, if you're praying for me, let me tell you how it goes. That's good. Yeah. That's good. That's good. And that encourages me to also do the same as well. Like I said, I be praying, but I mostly look at people's body language and like, damn, they worried about me, and then I just block it out mentally. But like you said, like you did and showed me. You tell them what they need to pray for.
Well, because and also
and not like that, but I'm just making a joke of it because it is such a thing, and that is how we can and New Age spirituality, what they say, like protect your energy in a way but not to be anti, because she was in good spirit when she was saying that. You know what I mean? She wasn't being funny and she wasn't being rude. She was a good spirit, but that is a good way to protect what you got going on for yourself.
And also it's a good way to really see a person's intention. Let them keep talking a little bit more. Let me throw a little bit into what you got to say.
Absolutely, because I'm not anti.
Because I'm wishing stuff for me because you know what people love? Okay, I did just cut you off.
That's fine. It's a conversation.
They'll want something for you, and sometimes you got to let them know that's not what I want for myself.
That's not what I want.
What if I didn't want no partner? You talking about you going to pray for partners and husband. What if I was like, hey, that's not the lifestyle I'm on, right? Because you didn't check with me. You just assumed.
Check,
or maybe she
me.
Had discernment. I don't know. She might have had discernment and knew, well, that baby need a husband.
And for the fields we're going into, it always looks right. You know what I mean? Like, because and that's just big business. Like partner, just other half, significant other. Don't even gotta be romantic. You got a business partner. Mm-hmm. Like that's the field that we're going into. We need and it reminds me of our relationship, just getting through and coming out of the Towson University MFA theater arts program. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Buddied up, didn't see it coming, buddied up, and did our own thing in our own regard. And
We
you know,
did.
it just makes me, you know, every industry and field, we need to have another person that we see eye to eye, tooth to
Yeah.
tooth, cheek to cheek, foot to foot.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
but again, intention is all about that,
It is
and we
all
have
about
different ways
intention.
of reading that.
So speaking about intentions,
Yes, ma'am.
we gonna have some different names.
Different names.
Yeah, we ain't gonna be saying the names, but we gonna.
Can we bleep them out? Like post production. And so when said it, sorry, my bad. This is your platform.
Jam and I were having a conversation today in the kitchen. It got quite heated before we got into the kitchen, and that is natural to our relationship.
It is natural
That
to our
is natural
relationship.
to our relationship, into how we figuring stuff out.
And appreciating that you are probably one of the only people so far that I've met and come in contact with intellectually, socially, to not only let me know about how I'm coming across, but able to sift through and again teach me something through your reaction. I wouldn't have known that it would have got you all fired up because I'm so concerned
We're not
about
fired up.
absolutely, and as you should.
Absolutely.
And I just want to say to that, you got every right to. And I just want to say to that, my expression too, getting fired up in what I thought was meant by what we're about to get into right now. So yeah, I just want to say that you holding it down.
B.O.B.
Absolutely
holding it down.
Come on. And we outside of Baltimore City. What you just heard was probably a DPW truck just we was on the stoop
on these Baltimore streets.
He's on the stoop. All right, stupid. We was in Baltimore City.
Would they be like, dummy?
Dumbass.
I'd be like, dang. Term of endearment.
It sure is. And remind yourselves, we don't know shit out here. We don't know shit.
No, we really don't. We just
out
really
here outside.
We are just trying to figure it out. Regular programming.
Come on.
Regular programming.
Come on.
But,
see, we
exactly.
What did we just say? We is outside. That was us earlier in the car. Woo.
Oh man, so good, so
Mm-hmm.
good.
Mm-hmm.
What I think you thought that I was going against something.
Yeah.
And I think you also probably thought that I was saying something was wrong by the way that my sentence syntax.
Right.
Right. The way that I put it together when I said stripped of blackness. Something in there that very triggered. You said, oh no. You said,
absolutely.
Listen, you said blackness, my life. And you know, one of the ways to piss me off is to say stuff I already know. And then indict me and accuse me. So you want me to get mad? But I do have a temper, I realized, and I'm working on that. Because sifting with Sha-Nel
come on,
means that I am more interested in where we're trying to go than where we're at right now.
So good.
So
good.
I'm not going against who he is and his potential and how great it's going to be.
Right.
He is a sound, strong, intelligent, hardworking, handsome, tall black man.
Check.
That comes from sound, strong, black, educated people.
Yeah.
That in itself is beautiful.
It's a win.
I didn't lead with that, no.
Sure.
And I'm interested in the diaspora. So when I'm coming from an angle, I'm coming from the angle of a diaspora. I come from the hood.
Right.
But I've been all over the world. Hey, right? I can't
absolutely.
I've been all over.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I have seen and I have experienced things that this is why my work is very interesting to me, because I'm looking for the places to bring us together.
Yeah.
Sometimes that requires me to look at the things that might be causing us to do this. And one of the things that's causing us to do this, we know, of course, is government, systemic racism, systematic racism, all those things. And we could throw those words out there.
Yeah.
But class and education is one of the biggest things to draw people Black people specifically away
Yeah.
from each other. There's this book called The Miseducation of the Negro by
Mhm.
Carter G. Woodson.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I remember in this book is he talks about how when Black folks, color folks decided they wanted to go get education in the white institutions, something happened to them in a way that they no longer wanted to be around those that weren't educated. They didn't want to be with the common folk, if you will, because they wanted to suck up the benefits that they thought came along with being educated. And there was something that happened, like a looking down. Well, this dissension that was happening on this end, also those who weren't educated, if you would, by institutions, were like, well, they think they so high and mighty, you done forgot. How could you forget where you come from, as if where you came from was not as vital as where you're trying to go? This like constant cycle that is happening, what I noticed, the principle of this is us not really taking the time, we're letting the technicalities and the nuances really drive us apart. And it's strong.
Absolutely.
And because I believe I'm at a unique advantage by coming from the hood, by also being educated, I can see the things that pull us apart, but I know how to talk to both sets of people and ask questions and say, now, can you explain to me why is it that maybe we left this part out of the conversation? Because he's the newer generation, right? And we know that the newer generation is coming up with their own understanding, their own way to do things. And just like I told my mentor today, who was older, love her, Miss Sandra Gay, shout out to you. We were talking about how the younger generation wants to do something different. And she has a perspective about it. And I told her, I said, you don't know nothing about having to take information all the time, everywhere, at every angle. You don't know nothing about that lifestyle and what that does to the mind, what that does to human connection, and what that does to communication and how we form identity. And it did make her kind of be like,
Step back, pump the brakes, ma'am.
and I'm not trying to be mean,
No.
but I'm just saying
And not even- yeah.
there's a lot of sifting through other mechanisms and other things in life that she knows nothing about. But there is something very important about bridging those things together. And so when I call that out, I'm not calling out that when I said stripped of blackness, I'm not saying stripped of what is the idea of blackness. I'm saying of its totality of the ground foundation. Because if we do not know history, if we're not clear historically on where we have been, we're gonna have a real hard time to make the same mistakes moving forward. However, and I'm gonna, because I know you're ready to go off like a
You
cannon.
got like 12 points.
Go
Come
ahead.
on.
Go
No,
ahead.
no,
No, go
please,
ahead.
please. It's like you said, if we don't know where we come from, where are we going?
Now, as individuals,
Uh-huh.
just as being human and bopping around and doing the human thing,
It's a lot.
right?
Uh-huh.
We're gonna have to make mistakes.
Sure.
And we are gonna make mistakes trying to find out who we are
Sure.
with perspective and with identity, whether we decide to identify, however we choose to identify with our intersectionalities. But how can having more information at a foundational level be less impactful or bad?
I want to use a biblical allegory because today I went to church. I believe this was the pillar of salt, the pillar of salt allegory. When
Okay.
Sodom and Gomorrah, I don't know which one of them turned around and it was time to go. God said it's time to go because this whole city, God gotta go. But if you look around, you're gonna turn into a pillar of salt. And what did one of them do? Turned around and turned into a pillar of salt. When we turn around and look at the trauma historically that has been accounted for and how we the people. Now, you made a point. I'm about to go to all of those points, even through talking. So stay with me, please. I'm sifting as well. You said the miseducation of the Negro and how some folks were when they went to school or had access to, because let's be real, they were chosen. They were picked. Just how the celebrity is chosen and picked based on their geographical location, based on their talent, their gift, their pick, and they're chosen by people
It's
that
selective.
we can't name. Not those who must not be named, and they try to stay in the shadows and all that stuff. But I cannot blame the individual Negro, how we say back in the day. I don't blame we the people. I don't blame people who look like me. I gotta blame, if I can, and I'm attacking character and morality. I gotta blame the people who created that system. Now let's look at the people who created that system. They were already sitting high and mighty with and let's draw it back to their oral tradition of their history. Let's look back at ancient Greece. Let's look back at Rome. They were doing it over and over again. They've just been copying and pasting the same template. So I'm gonna blame the people who we see are the portraits in those institutions. I'm gonna blame those folk, not us, not my great-great-great-grandfather. They didn't have anything to do with establishing that. So what it is that we're, and I'm so glad you're putting words to it, mental sifting. What it is that we're experiencing mentally is that same indoctrination that those people were subjected to when someone who ruled over them said, oh, come into our schools, come be great. You want change? You da, da, da. It is not, it ain't our fault. That is just naturally what happens when we as humans think that we're more than what we are, and we try to start naming things and we say this and that and claim this, and we start attacking and creating war. That is just naturally what happens in our bodies. Now we're here. And now we have the terms black and brown. And now we know our circumstance as far as like the entire context. We know the man-made systems, and we know that we're in this corner and we've been categorized before way before our time. I was just born into this system. What the hell I gotta put it all on my back for? Ouch. Now, I personally do not have, and I want to call it a privilege. It is a privilege because where is change going to happen? It's going to happen in these institutions, whether we like it or not. Now, some can choose not to play, and some can choose to play. I wasn't select and chosen and plucked. My father earned a loan, and I received Veterans Affairs benefits to go to school. My father had to risk his life in I don't know the name of that title, but of the what he played in Desert Storm, but it was to like look out in fields, landmines and bombs, and detonate them and be like, oh. He had to risk his life for me to go. That's not privilege. I don't look at that as privilege whatsoever. So I'm not plucked and chosen. But I was told in order to create a change and to be something in this world that I had nothing to do with to create, I have to go through this system. So I had to learn about positionality within the institution. Now, you were saying, I'm bringing, to the different points, our human body, our human expression, all of this aside, what we're not doing and what is so easy to do is look at each other's character and know what separates us and say the individual has something to do with that. But where I've been personally triggered before is that we're not naming the thing. I don't know if we can't do it. We're not naming the circumstance that we're in.
You don't think?
No. We're getting there. I would say we're getting there. But what has not happened up until this point, and again, now I'm finding how I'm building and bridging that, because me experiencing with all my intersectionalities, first generation college student, first generation American, but also like kind of still an American too. Like what? I've had to learn early on, man, forget all of the titles. I'm me. But that's not everyone's circumstance. That's a perfect world because we're still subjected to titles. We're still subjected to history. Some people can look back like at that soda pillar and get so swept up by it, forget their whole gifts, talents, purpose, what God put them here to do, or the purpose that they created. We forgot. We forgot to go into the institutions. How you gonna hate from outside the club? You can't even get in because you decided to look out and care so much about what was happening. You forgot to go in and use your gifts, because that's where change so-called is. Now, I'm not saying that is like the all-in-all change, but according to history, that's where laws need to be made. And overall, what I'm getting to and walking towards is saying, naming the thing a thing, and it's easy to blame each other, but that is what is causing dissension. That triggering that I received from your statement, and again, forget these words. I create these words, but even what that word triggers for me is to say a lack of something, and that's always been put on me. And I blame standardization. I blame No Child Left Behind. I blame Bush. And I'm being satirical. I don't really actually blame Bush. Shout out to Bush, you know what I mean? And the Bush family, shoot. But look, the lack of something to say you lack. Where is the standardization, and where is this coming from? And so that triggered it was a trickle down effect and triggered. We outside. Where is this idea coming from that I have to be a certain way, act a certain way, do a certain thing in order to be accepted based on how I look, based on where my people come from? I had nothing to do with that. I want to learn from something. So when I do have an outburst, it's not an ill intention as earlier. It was to actually, where are you coming from? And why is this bubbling inside of me so much? I'm carrying so much from what it is that we're experiencing. I'm carrying it in my body.
Yeah.
Would you?
It was such an explosion.
It was a boom.
Oh,
It was a boom, everyone.
Ooh.
and again, going back and giving you your flowers right now, like Carisha said, giving people flowers while they're alive. Everyone's like, is Diddy dead? Like, Carisha, please, anybody, giving you your flowers while you're alive because you're an excellent communicator and you know how to detonate the boom. And it was never personal. It just reminded me of what has I've been subjected to based on what other people have not been mentally or conscious about projecting onto me.
Boom. That's good.
We said a lot.
I've been reading Toni Morrison, The Source of Self-Regard. And it's a compilation of like essays, meditations, and if I can be honest, she's written so much in so many different books, but I enjoy her essays more because her books, while beautifully written, sometimes are just a little difficult to get through because of the way that she writes and paints and illustrates pictures. It takes a particular reader to be able to get through that, which is fine. Her essays allow me to feel like I'm in conversation with her, and I feel like I learn more through her essays. I say that to say that she talks about how the writing that she does and the circumstances in which she writes is about like the Black experience, but those that would interview her didn't understand why she wouldn't have like white characters in there. Trust me, I'm going somewhere.
Sure.
And she says, she said, she used an example in one of her interviews, like, you don't ask, she might have said this particular group of people, but she was like, you don't ask a Hungarian man why he doesn't put an African in his book. And so she talks about how when we want to talk about the stripping of race and the ideas and the ideologies of race, it is normally in this utopian type of conversation, like creating worlds that don't have this race construct or don't have like the restrictions of race placed in society. That means you have to do a certain kind of thing, like you were saying, to fit boxes. I say that to say that I'm very interested in African American studies because in the late 80s, it was doing a couple of things. It was talking about what our condition was, but she says, how is it that you want to ask the victim to solve the problem, the illness that was put on them? That make like what? You want us to be the hurt and the healed.
Jesus.
How does that work? Right? And she's like, I choose not, those are not the battles that I choose to fight.
Come on.
And I think that as artists, as scholars, as individuals that are choosing to be purpose driven, choosing to go against and call a thing, it does require us to go against the grain. It does require us sometimes to even to strip what we think that we even know, to question those things, to interrogate those things, to get to where we're trying to get to. Sha-Nel, what are you saying? What I'm saying is that people for years have been calling what it is. Now, how are we going to mobilize? Now, in this era, in this day, how are we going to take all of those tidbits? One of the things that we learn in scholarship to build on our research, you gotta be a cited source. You got to have a peer review. You got to have all of these. Basically, you have to take the research of all these other people that did all these other work to support what you're saying, as if the work that you're saying is not already validated, even if it's a lived experience. Go ahead.
Can I interject? Because same sentiment. What I've learned to have to appreciate, because this is my line of work. Oh, I'm right there with you. And I don't say this to put a band-aid over, because may I curse? No, that. You know what I mean? All that. But what I had to come to realize is that is the very basis of which scholarship has come to be. And I used this example with my nephew Malik the other day, just thinking how hip hop came to, or at least the history of what we're taught, like brown and black boys back in the Bronx, taking the disco beats, and then taking the break, well, I'm out in the street in a citing your sources. What is it called? Sampling. What we're doing in academia is sampling, because scholarship is only built on what Socrates, Socrates and Plato. We outside. How you doing? Hey, what's good? Basically, my point getting at learning to have an appreciation, and even forcing myself to appreciate having the site sources. But it is a ridiculous exertion of energy.
And I say that to say there's a mechanism of I appreciate it because for a couple of things, it is important to say who said when they said what they said that. Getting people their credit if they said that, right? If then people said that, then that's what they said. And if you're gonna be using what them people said to support what you're saying, tell the people what,
Right.
who, and why, and when they said it, and
Right.
refer them to when they said it. So
Right.
I get that.
Sure.
What I'm saying is taking it out of context and loving how you've been, I'm not going to say marketing, but saying what your purpose is and the things that you're interested in. If I could say it here,
Yeah.
it's taken from...
I'm the academic Robin Hood. I steal from the institutions. I steal the intellectual property and I take it back to the hood from whence of the lived experience, because that's all they do in the institutions. They going out into the hood and surveying folks. That's what Johns Hopkins and them did. You can bleep this part out.
I didn't know if it was a secret. Yeah, so
No, I'm the academic Robin Hood.
Check.
It's me. I mean, I very much.
But I say that to say, I say that to say that we in the hood or in other places that have been underprivileged or haven't looked at education in an institution, because education comes in many different ways, in many different forms.
It does.
The citing of sources, we've been doing that for years. If I say my mama said, that's citing a source instead of just saying what she said. If I say my mama said, my uncle said, that his brother said, I done cite it. I got a secondary source, I got a first source. And don't let me tell you when I said it, when they was in the living room when they was kids. Okay, well, we know the living room was on that street. Well, we know that's it. We know the time had to be in 1970 something. We have been doing this type of thing, right? Mm-hmm. But it is not recognized like that because it isn't in this institutional form. I say that to say that as we are using our gifts and using our scholarship and even redefining what scholarship is to call these things a thing, yes, we can get a little too caught up on the micro of this everyday thing. But it is this everyday thing that we must call out between us to do this.
Oof. Us to do this, There it is. There
you
it
know
is.
What I mean? Because I have been in conversations with individuals that really, we had very different views. We believe in liberatory praxis. We believe that we need to call this thing, we need to dismantle, and in some ways maybe abolish. Somebody told me I have abolitionist ways, and reconstructive ways, but whatever.
Right.
At the end of the day, I say that to say that we had to address the heat so that we could address where we were trying to go and how it can affect on the larger scale. But if we don't never address what this is right here, we're going to have a hard time really working together to see where we're really trying to go.
What you said to me when we bent that block, we bent that corner right there, you had mentioned, you brought back that word scholar. What you had said when we bent that block, and even before that, I thought we were just two regular schmegular schmoes just getting into it. You said scholar. You said me as a practicing scholar. You said something along the lines of scholar, and that got me right back to go, all right. We ain't just nobodies out here. We ain't just walk across that stage. We ain't just say that.
It did almost
speech.
Look like it did.
We did almost look. Woo! You brought us back to who we are.
We got.
And we did, and that's so raw.
I love it. Oh, I love that though.
So raw.
Oh, I love it though. I love it. Can we just kind of like dissect that? Look, just the emotion, the raw emotion, because there's something about being nicked. There's something about something. I said something that did something to you unintentionally.
Sure. No, right? Yeah.
But it still roused something up in you. And you said something that did something to me. And it did a rallying,
and
right?
It almost teetered because you said don't talk to you no type of way. And I had to remind myself again because like technical difficulty. Thank you. And to go back to that, I didn't have any ill intentions. I allowed my expression to go off, but I never directly said, Sha-Nel, what the? It was more so to that idea and that concept. And it allows me to know what I need to work on when calling that thing a thing, because it would be so easy. It's too easy for us to fall out.
Oh, yeah.
We could have been
fell out.
We could have been. Yeah, but guess what keep us going?
Because that's what you kept saying. You kept saying, and I was like, keep it together. You kept saying, but I didn't say it to you. And I'm like, that's not the point. The point is you trying to ask me something, so you're talking to me. And if you talking to me and you want me to, but then you asking me to give you something. You want me to give you something. You want me to explain something. You know.
I did.
And we got there, we rejected it, but these kind of conversations that happen every day, people get killed.
Get fucking killed.
The man get hurt because of this passion. This passion that
is
because the conversation is an excellent one to have.
Absolutely.
And a lot of the conversations with people, some person that came into a live, one left on a stretcher, were maybe very well even good conversations, but people not being able to get above. We had to get my mother used to say she loved my daddy. I love my daddy to rest his soul. That I loved your daddy because he had the ability to be able to get above the petty. If we tit for tat this whole thing through, we ain't getting nowhere.
We ain't getting nowhere.
Now, they don't mean to express ourselves, but we cannot tit for tat because where are we trying to go? And that's why I think I was like, where I want this conversation to go, because I want to say my piece, but I really don't want to keep harping on how you done piss me off. I'm going to just show you piss me off. I'm going to tell you how you done piss me off. And I'm going to recalibrate in such a way so that I can continue. But that also requires you in that time as I'm recalibrating and addressing you not to shut down. So I give you flowers and commending you for not shutting down. And not being like, oh, she ain't, because I went silent.
I said the top talker turned off. I was scared, y'all. I said, oh. Well, body language. I went nonverbal. Turned into an animal. I said, oh, boy, I'm going to just do what you do. Bro.
Right.
I'm a donkey. I was born outside.
Right.
Like, that's how I was.
That's a boulder. That's a nice boulder. And so I want to give you your flowers for, as I was recalibrating and figuring things out within that space, you still having an openness and a sensitivity for us to be able to get back on track. Because at the end of the day, we want to have this conversation. And the things that we're talking about and we're saying, it's not like we ain't said them things before. We didn't set up long hours after trying to figure out how to write a paper, trying to figure out submitting to paper proposals. We gonna talk. So it's not like this is not the first time we touched on something, but what I'm realizing as we figure out this sifting center, is there going to be things that are going to trigger us that need to be addressed.
Yeah. Can't get nowhere if we don't address that. I don't want no one that's not you to be triggering me, and I'm left to look like a fool. Like I don't know how to control my emotions. Like I don't know how to control myself when I want to get to a place that you and I want to go to.
That's right. Good. Well, Mr. Boom, I think we done said
what needed to be said.
I think we done said what needed to be said, and thank you for tuning in to Sifting with Sha-Nel with the one and only Jam Boom Boom.
You already know
You'll be able to find his handle, his Instagram. Tell the people your Instagram.
Right there, Jam Boom Boom on all platforms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sha-Nel.
So welcome. You look so good.
Thank you so much. 24. What they say? 24
okay,
magic in the air. And y'all stay safe out here. You know what I mean? Keep expressing yourselves. Keep having these conversations with the people that you love and that you care about. Keep having those conversations on the block, in the crib, with yourself, with your loved ones. And we're gonna go there. We're gonna go. What's you call it? Liberatory practice.
Liberatory practice.
That's how we do it right here.
Right here.
Let's keep doing it.
Peace.